Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Arena FPS Rambunctious Ramblings, or ARR for short. That is the title now, we started recording. And this week's episode we're going to be talking about art styles, and aesthetic qualities, and all those wonderful things. And the thing that kind of piqued our interest into recording this video was the recent release of new concept art by Turbo Pixel Studios, which are the developers of the one and only Reflex. And in that game, they've their new conceptual art, or concept art if you want to be less pretentious and arsy about it, is now about, it's kind of, people say steampunk, but I think it's more kind of early industrial, almost like Bioshock or Fallout, that kind of theme. What are your initial thoughts about it?
Yeah, he said it was set in a time, an alternate reality where Tesla and Edison are competing against each other to create weapons or something.
Yeah, I hope the actual character models are Tesla and Edison, and I want to play Tesla because fuck Edison. Hashtag. I really like it, but it's caused a lot of. It's been a matter of contention, put it that way, on the forums and on Reddit. A lot of people feel like they've been let down because the original art style was very different to the one they're going for. However, if you go back to the trailers, it says all current concept art and, placeholder art is placeholder art. So it's like even the rocket launch is being removed and being replaced. And some people have said like, oh, I don't like how the robot is going to fit into this because it's like steampunk in inverted commas and robots. But I think if they redesign the character model too, it will look fine.
No, they said they're taking the robot out.
Yeah.
It's completely going. So I think when I first saw these, I thought they were okay. I thought the rocket launcher was quite cool. I thought the others looked a bit flimsy and thin and light. Didn't really look like weapons I'd enjoy using.
Well, I guess he said, Newborn said himself that they're early kind of versions of the concept art, and they're not kind of finalized. So obviously, there's work to be done on it. It's early stage.
Yeah, but they have actually grown on me as time's gone on, and I'm a lot keener on the art style now than I was when they first introduced it.
From my perspective, right, sci-fi being done to death, and so is Gothic. Like we've got Wickland, which is Gothic, Quake, which is kind of Gothic, and sci-fi is kind of Unreal Tournament, and it's just like do something different, which they have, and it's great. But I think people.
Yeah, I'm pleased that it's different.
I think people are so used to Arena FPS games being set in this Gothic/sci-fi setting that that's all they expect out of these games. And if we segue into Diabotical, that's also had the same criticisms leveled against it, where it's like, oh no, you can't have like happy, cheerful eggbots in a game that's meant to be dark and serious and brooding. And this guy is like, every time it's been brought up, he's like, yeah, the game needs more Satan. More Satan's needed because it's like not satanic enough, which makes me chuckle. I'm sure he's being glib about it. Also, glib is a word that you should use in conversation more, but that's for another conversation.
I think the Eggbots. I saw the Eggbot as a mascot when he first introduced it. I thought, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then when he said it was going to be the player model, I thought, oh, really? I mean, the original player model he showed wasn't that great. No. But the Eggbots, again, just like this, pretty much like everything I talk about has grown on me.
It's because I'm always initially right, and then I talk about things more, and the ideas grow on you.
It's a horrendous point of view. I'll go with it.
Yeah, it's obviously true.
Just to quickly segue back to the Reflex stuff, someone uploaded a picture of a gun from a game with a very similar art style. I think it's called...
Was that Overwatch? Or... No, The Order.
The Order 1886. And it is really cool. So it shows that you can create something really cool with that sort of theme. And some of the Reborn weapons that have appeared on this trailer, like the shotgun, the lightning gun, things like that, they're looking really cool.
I believe you can do good art and good character design in any aesthetic. Aesthetic, is that the right word? Any kind of theme, we'll call it. You could I don't know, Scottish. I'm just looking at a picture of Scotland now, so that's the first thing that came to my head. But kind of like Scottish kind of medieval warfare, you could do an Arena FPS in that setting, and it would work if you could kind of recreate it really well. I'm not sure how the guns would work, but you know, I think if you can be really creative, create really high quality assets, and pretty much any like theme can really work well with the game.
Yeah. So a lot of people were pitching for Reflex to have pretty much no art style and just be minimalistic. But that, of course, brings up the point that this game wants to attract new players, not just appease Quake players, but they want to attract players from other genres to this game.
Well, you want to like a player base of more than 5 people, so
Yeah, so if you want to do that, you're going to have a game that looks nice. It's got to be something where you put out a trailer for it and someone will watch it, and even if they don't understand the intricacies of the gameplay, they can still appreciate how nice it looks and how fun it looks to shoot someone with this really cool looking weapon.
yeah. I mean that's something that Arena Unreal Tournament, that's a game, has done really well with Outpost 23. That map is both, it's not minimalistic, but it's not over engineered. But at the same time, it's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and the lighting effects and shadow effects are just sublime. So it's very possible to do like high quality, but still very visually clear like scenes and maps. So I think that's not an issue, and like the Reflex devs up to now have been very much of the opinion that the game has to like look very what's the word?
Clean, clear.
Clean, yeah, I think clean's probably the best one. So it's really easy to pick out your opponent without having to use bright skins or having to use like force or player models to be the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's very achievable with any kind of artistic goal in mind. You might have to kind of like lower the quality, not the quality, kind of like simplify some things, but I think overall it's certainly possible to have both things at the same time, like both high quality art and also high clarity visuals.
Yeah, and I said this on the Reflex forums as well. One of the important things they're going to have to get right is the sound,
Yeah, definitely.
because having good sounds accompanying these weapons firing and recharging and things like that is going to be a big part of making them feel powerful and fun.
Yeah, that's something that I introduced a new friend to Reflex the other day, and he said how he loved like the meaty sound of the rockets. Like they sounded just really meaty, especially when it connected. Like kind of hit sounds was really appreciated, and I hope that's something they can kind of. They'd have to modify it, I assume, slightly towards a different kind of theme, but at the same time keep that same quality, because I really enjoy that, and other people seem to too.
Yeah.
Another,
So all these art styles are going to impact all these games quite a lot.
another thing I want to bring up is Telos. Is that's got a very like, clean art style, but I really
Yeah, I wonder if that is the final art style.
I'm not sure actually. I mean, I really enjoy what they have right now, and I think it works really well with what they're trying to do. It's very futuristic. I mean, it's sci-fi, but it's kind of, it's not kind of Tron, but do you know what I mean? Like very stark
Yeah, it's quite
colors.
colourful.
Yeah. And a lot of pastels. I like pastels. They make me very happy.
I'm looking at some screenshots now, and there's purples, bright greens, turquoise, blue.
Yeah.
It's not a gothic game at all.
No, definitely.
And you said that Gothic had been done to death, which in one sense for Arena FPS it has, but I don't know if you agree with me here, but the Gothic concept that they had for Reflex was insanely cool. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, you mean in that Kickstarter trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was alright. I mean,
So it's like you said, if anyone can make anything good in any aesthetic, they just have to be creative enough.
yeah, I mean you can do Gothic very, very well. I just feel like it's been done more than, for example, the art style they're trying to go with right now, kind of early industrial. Because that's never been done in an Arena FPS setting, and I think one problem they're gonna have is if it looks anything at all like Quake 3, it's just going to be called Quake 3 clone.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's going to get that anyway.
it's going to get that anyway, but I think if they can like really distinguish themselves from Quake with the art style, that'll go a long way. And
Yeah,
I think
Reborn's going to have no issue with that either.
yeah, exactly. And that's something that I think they would struggle to do more with a sci-fi or a Gothic art style. So And it's really important because otherwise people are just going to say, "What's the point of this game? It's just Quake. I could just play Quake." So
Yeah.
it gives a really good justification for the game's existence. I mean, it doesn't need a justification for the game's existence, but that's people are like that these days.
Yeah. So I hope that the Reflex guys stick with their theme. I hope they go balls to the wall with it, but I hope they make everything a bit beefier and a bit chunkier and a bit scarier.
Yeah,
So like less flimsy looking weapons, something that looks more powerful. Stick loads of those coils on top of it and stuff like that, or anything like that's fine with me.
more
But
electricity.
I just like that they're going their own way. No one's doing this style in Arena FPS. They're doing their own thing. It's
Yeah.
unique to Reflex for this genre.
One thing I do want to bring up is toxic, and that's got a kind of a nothing style, just kind of
Yeah, I
like
guess.
very slightly futuristic. For example, one of the maps is just like a Chinese city, but with like not robots. Wait, are they robots? I can't even remember what the play models are.
No, they're just players in suits from what I can tell.
Yeah, kind of exoskeleton kind of things. And then the one's like a CTF map in a snowy field, and one's like an Aztec burial grounds or Aztec minaret or whatever they're called. And in about a few hours' time, we'll find out what the two new maps are. But
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing that really grabs your attention for
no,
the art style.
and that's like something that they've gone very safe, but at the same time, because of that, I think they're going to suffer from just not really having anything strong from an artistic point of view, which is, I mean, it's not necessarily going to not sell games, but there's nothing that catches my eye as like somebody who isn't into that kind of game already.
Yeah.
And for me, like platformers are kind of my game of I don't have much awareness about, so I'd kind of pick them on basically how pretty they look. I'm not like a die-hard platformer fan. So when a game like
Yeah,
Ori,
I mean, they often have quite a lot of personality, don't they?
yeah, they do.
Things like Super Meat Boy and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And also Dust Force has like got a really distinct art style because you're instead of just a platform, you're playing a janitor and you're sweeping up dust, which is kind of like a novel concept. And then Ori and the Blind Forest is just like really, really beautiful. I guess is just the easiest way to explain it. So like these games that I don't have an investment in this platforming as a genre, but I'll get platformers that kind of engage me on some level, and that seems to be mostly their art style, because that's kind of the first impression you go off. So I think having something that's really grabbing to new players is a really like it's not quite overlooked. I think there's almost too much focus on gameplay in Arena FPS, which might sound stupid to say, but it's something that most Arena FPS games actually do gameplay pretty well. I can't think of any like atrocious examples. Maybe Shoot Mania, but it wasn't even that bad. Whereas,
No, well,
I mean, it needed work, but I think it had something there that people could
its
kind
heart
of
was in the right place.
yeah, exactly. And that's like one of the more notable examples of how not to do it. And then there's this kind of like concentration on gameplay, when actually probably one of the reasons why they've not been doing too well recently is there's very little in terms of lore, almost nothing in terms of lore actually, thinking about it. There's not much of a focus these days on graphics or art style, except for kind of just going for generic sci-fi, and like it's just missing these aspects of like modern games are doing.
Yeah.
Like Dota, like not many people care about it for the lore, but some people do.
I mean, it helps.
Yeah, exactly.
The gameplay is what people are ultimately there for, but newer gamers nowadays or modern gamers, they like all that extra stuff. And some Arena FPS gamers like it as well. We mostly care about the gameplay, it seems, but you want to attract everyone, then you got to get everything in there, all the bells and whistles,
Yeah,
without compromising.
and I think like artistic themes and artistic vision is something that's it needs to be. I mean, if you think about Quake 3 and UT going back to the very beginning, they were absolutely groundbreaking in terms of graphics at the time. I mean, it's weird to think about now, but UT was like the water effects were incredible, and that's why a lot of people played those kind of games because they were like like killing. They was the graphics cards killers. They were the Crisis 3 or Crisis 1 of the day, and now Arena FPS games aren't doing that. So the kind of people that want to get those kind of games that kind of kill your graphics card, they're not going to get it from that genre anymore, and so it's going to be difficult to pick up players looking for that experience.
Yeah. So Reflex and Reborn are both evolving their art styles now. UT's kind of got theirs set in stone, being a fourth game in a series.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how they all develop.
Yeah. Is there any other games you can think about that? I mean, Wickland's an interesting one that we've not talked about yet.
Wickland suffers in the sound design department, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it really suffers in the visual clarity design. Like, some of the maps, I think I've been dueling you. I mean, like, I know you're there, I know where you are just because you're shooting at me, but I can't pick out your player model at all easily. I think one thing that actually that game suffers from in that regard is the fact that it's got so many different player models. So if you've got like a bat play model against a black background, it's going to be hard to pick up against than I can't remember which one was the gorilla guy?
Ursus
against like a black background because he's like brown. So
Yeah.
it's like just having different play models and different color play models that swap constantly. It's going to be harder to pick against a background than it is a single colored player. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you could just put outlines on it.
Yeah, it just felt muddy to me. I found it like it didn't feel pleasurable, and even though the game looked good, because it like everything was a bit kind of thick to play through, like visually, it felt like it didn't feel as clean to kind of pick out my opponent and shoot at him.
Yeah, it's great to look at, not great to play on. I mean, it's so great to look at that I actually have a Wickland wallpaper right now of some of the maps.
Yeah,
But it's not great to play on like Quake is or even Reflex and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
the balance they have to find.
and I
They
think
want to give it personality and give it something interesting, but not make it shit for people who are hardcore die-hard Arena FPS fans who can't see shit.
yeah, but I think that would even put off like newer players because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not just necessarily like people who are really interested in the gameplay that want to have visual clarity. It's like people are used to like, games like Counter-Strike where it's very, very easy to pick out a target because they tend to go with colours that contrast the player character. Like Dust 2, everything's like sandy colour, and the players are like wearing black and blue and kind of not the same colours as the background of the walls, which makes complete sense. So you need to kind of pay more attention to that, and I think that's something that maybe the Wickland developers didn't think about quite so much. Possibly.
Yeah, quite possible. Yeah, I can't think of any other games coming out with any significant art style ideas.
No,
Can you?
I
I
think
mean,
that
Doom 4, we can expect quite a lot of gothicy stuff and gory stuff. I mean, I kind of hope Reflex does gory stuff. I like the style, but I hope they implement, some pretty crazy gibs and things like that because it just sounds fun / cool.
I do like the Gibbs in Reflex that they have at the moment.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's like
Yeah.
a fountain.
Fountain of like robot parts covered in blood. It's rather amusing. But yeah, Doom 4, Blue Streak is another one that we've seen very little of, but it looks, at least from my perspective, that they're going for a very hyper realistic almost.
And it kind of just looks generic, to be honest. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like it has personality like the Reflex or Reborn does.
No, but they seem to be going for like a really high graphics like style. Like I don't know how to say it, but like something that like AAA style graphics rather than like optimized style graphics. Like kind of similar to Toxic, I guess, but possibly a bit more.
Yeah, even more so. Like I'm looking at an image of the Blue Streak shoulder launcher concept.
Yeah.
And it's so high poly, it looks like a real image of something.
Yeah, because originally I can't remember what the weapon was. What was the first weapon that they brought out?
It was like a Tesla rifle or something.
Yeah, and the high poly model was so beautiful, almost to the point that we're like, this is pretty like I'm not sure like how useful this is in a game. Like it might be almost too detailed.
To the point where we have to worry if this game is going to have a 60 FPS cap.
Yeah, exactly.
But every game's going to have its audience in that department.
Yeah,
Some people will be after that. Some newer players, I assume.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to have an audience of people who are really into like high visuals and high graphics. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do from that perspective. And with Doom, I assume Doom's going to be kind of similar in a very kind of graphically focused and oriented like presentation.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm
it-
just hoping it's gothicy and gory. I know you don't care about that, but that's what I'm hoping for from Doom 4.
yeah,
But it's Doom, so if it's not, then they're doing it weirdly.
yeah. I just hope the multiplayer itself kind of is focused on the tool. I'm not sure how much it's going to be a single player game.
Yeah, they said in the last QuakeCon the words fast-paced competitive multiplayer.
Okay.
So I'm just clinging to that with hope that it will have at least 144 FPS and will be not full of scripted animations and things.
Yeah. And I guess FPS is a little bit off the topic of like art and graphics and things we've been talking about, but it does make a difference. That
Yeah,
like it's part of your kind of visual experience, and I don't expect to get any less than 144 on a Arena FPS game. Like that's a minimum I expect to get. I want to be capping it down to 300 rather than having to like just about get 60. So that's something that's like is just really important to the visuals of the game that it feels smooth. And a game like Rats, where I get really good Rats Instagib. That's one we've not talked about actually. But a game like that where the visuals are really clear, but also the frame rate's really high. It just feels really smooth. Whereas a game where one of the problems I've been having with Toxic is the because the frame rate isn't quite so high, it just feels a bit stuttery. It feels less smooth. I don't know if you can have any feedback on that.
to be honest, I haven't played it since I got my new monitor.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Rats is smooth and buttery and delicious in terms of art style.
Yeah.
It's not particularly cool visuals, but it's smooth and clear visuals.
I really like the black border they have on all the like all the map kind of objects. It kind of like makes everything very distinct and like boxes everything into like there's never any kind of over bleed from one object to another. You know exactly where one thing finishes and the next thing starts.
Yeah,
Like that.
definitely. And if there's anything that Reborn and Reflex have proven, it's that even though Arena FPS fans aren't typically mad for graphics and visuals and art styles and things, they can go off the wall when you show them some art.
Yeah, it's true.
And there can be people who love it, people who hate it, and there can be a lot of forum posts.
Yeah, definitely. Especially about egg bots.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot to look out for people who like arty things in the future, I imagine.
Yep. So I think that pretty much wraps up like all the current games and things we want to talk about in terms of art. Is there anything, any kind of closing statements you want to make?
No, I just want the Reflex. Well, I said no, but yes, I want the Reflex devs to keep doing what they're doing, and I am extremely curious to see what Too Good does with Reborn, because I started off not liking the egg bots and stuff that much, and now I'm quite enjoying it all, and I'm quite enjoying the weapon models as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And I'm quite curious about Project Blue Streak. I just want to I want to see where they're going with it, whatever that
Yeah.
is.
give them a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. We'll have a news video for you very soon.